was a Georgia-Ohio State cancellation of a home and home. That happened a number of times when the Big Ten went to a 9-game schedule from an 8-game schedule. I don't know if this one comes to mind, but Uncle Lou having fun with the light touch of FAU, Cincy, and Miami of Ohio, and his spelling of sense is called into question. But besides that, it's a $5 question. So there it is.
I don't remember the exact reason for this. I do recall Georgia not putting up a fight, or it was like more of a let's both just not do this. And again, the reason they're stuck with Florida Atlantic and Miami and Cincinnati this year is because the TCU thing got split from a home and home to just a one-off last year at Jerry World. So it would have been TCU this year. And, so we see so many of these games that get scheduled, don't end up. I know as of a few years ago, Michigan and Arkansas were supposed to open the season this year. That obviously didn't happen. And so you sign these contracts, but it doesn't take much to break them as long as you break them early enough and you're both willing. And they were definitely willing partners. Just as they were to play it, they were just as willing to not play it. And I think those two schools, Georgia and Ohio State, when you ask Buckeye fans, who they would like to play non-conference, Georgia always comes up as one of those teams that they would like to play. Not a neutral site game. The Big Ten, we prefer home and home games here. Keep it on campus. Let college football be what it's supposed to be, what makes it great. And we could get into a Nick Saban thing where he says he can't make schedules and he complains about this and that. But in the Big Ten, I want campus games. Sure, it's great going to Jerry World. It's always fun being there, but keep that for bowl games, championship games, regular season. I want them on campus. I'd rather spend my time at TCU seeing what they've got rather than seeing what Jerry's got for the second time in 2 years. Keep stuff on campus. Let the fans enjoy it. Keep the bands playing. Just keep it as college football-y as possible for as long as possible, even though it has been taken over by money. The reason people are spending so much money, TV networks are spending so much money, is because people are watching college football because they appreciate the college aspect of it. And we don't need to turn it into the NFL.
My recollection on Ohio State and Georgia, and my timeline could be off, but this was something that went on the books around 2009, 2010 for later in this decade or perhaps early 2020s. I don't know if I took 5 minutes and did a search, I'm sure I would find the exact dates and locations and everything else. It was on there. It was etched in stone. But here's what happened over various years. There have been knee-jerk reactions in the Big Ten regarding scheduling. Jim Delaney says we don't want to play any more FCS opponents. So for a while there, they had a moratorium on that. Now, as we saw Indiana played Eastern Illinois last week, they've kind of relaxed that, I think, because there's a dearth of viable opponents for your guaranteed games. So, Ohio State played Youngstown State a couple times, but that was it. Regarding what happened, Gene Smith, I don't know if it was Gene Smith, but Jim Delaney at some point got this crazy idea. Let's do a Big Ten Pac-12 series. And they wanted to do it like almost every year, which meant that every other year, these teams in the Midwest were going to have to fly out to the West Coast and play somebody, whereas in the past, they've only done that like once a decade. And so I think what they did is they went back to the athletic directors and they said, clear the decks, get rid of your, big non-conference opponents, because we're going to have you playing Washington and USC and UCLA and all these teams out on the West Coast on an annual basis. They'll come to your place, you'll go out there. So I think Georgia got purged, and they, honest to God, and I'm serious, that was a serious thought that was going around for like 2 years. And then I think common sense prevailed that this is Looney Tunes, that the Big Ten schools would fly out there every other year and and play somebody, play Washington State or somebody. They're just eventually over time that became an air biscuit and it just died away. But they had gone in and uprooted their schedules in the meantime. And then when the wind changed, everyone was left to go find new dance partners. And let me tell you, Ohio State has found a few. They're going to play Texas, Notre Dame, Oregon home and home next year, Boston College. I think Washington's in there. So they've got some quality non-conference opponents coming up in the years ahead, and are going to take this brand on a national scale all over the country. So, it doesn't used to not getting bigger than playing Notre Dame. Now, number 15 Notre Dame, whip-de ding dong. So that's my long dissertation on what I think happened with Ohio State and Georgia.
I really don't understand the fascination with the Pac-12 and why Jim Delaney thought that would be.
the Rose
Cooler
Bowl.
heads have prevailed.
Because of
Smarter
the Rose Bowl,
people prevailed.
I just don't get it. It's the
Though
least
Jim
respected
Delaney has
football
always
conference.
been the smartest man in the room when he's in that room.
Especially when he's in the same room with Larry Scott.
Oh my gosh.
Well, sure. Yes.
Poor Larry Scott.
Oh my goodness, he's got a rough go there.
Oregon loses to Auburn. It's because of Larry Scott.